One of the things that you were talking about was the appeals,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the things that you've done differently at the township level to make those appeal rates higher, to make the success of your appeals
Mm-hmm.
higher. Do you have any kind of idea, stats that would demonstrate how those have been affected?
When we first took office, now granted, when we took office, it was right at the start of annual trending in 2006, 2007. So that was something brand new that the state started to do, and our appeal process, or our appeal numbers, greatly reflected that. I think Wayne Township had about 3,000 appeals that year alone. But every year, as we've gotten better at our trending, better at our sales, our appeals have dropped down. I think right now we're under 1,000. We're under 1,000 a year now. The majority of them come from rentals, which is something that we're still trying to perfect. We've come strides from when we first started in '06, but there's still a little work left to do, and unfortunately there's not a lot of time during the trending process that we have to do it.
Sure. And any idea how successful you've been? Do you have success rates?
Not specific rates, no.
Sure.
We've cut the appeals by 66%, I can tell you that, because we were about 3,000, we're under 1,000 now in the 7 years. Our appeal timing is getting a lot better too, whereas, obviously when you have a lot of appeals, it's going to take a lot longer to take care of them. But with the reorganization that we did in our office and the structure and the procedures that we put into place, those appeals aren't sitting as long. And I will say one thing regarding the appeals, for me and for Bev, when we took office, we never thought of appeals as a bad thing. Granted, the less we have, the better, and the less work that we would have to do. But the appeals serve as something rather important to us. It's able to pinpoint specific areas where if we have a lot of appeals in a condensed area, we know there's a problem, we need to get in and dig deeper instead of just overriding and just continuing on. It's a red flag for us. So we don't discourage appeals. When we tell people about their values, we tell them, if you don't agree with this and with what we have, please, by all means, appeal, because that, in the end, helps us.
Sure. One of the words I've heard you use quite a few times today, trending. Tell me about trending. What does that mean?
Every year, we look at the sales for the previous year. So I'm going to take this year, for example. Our assessment date is March 1st of every year. So March 1st, 2014 is our assessment date. We look at the sales from January 1st of 2013 through February 28th of 2014, that 14-month range. We make sure that those are good sales. We don't want foreclosures or auctions or family member sales. We want them to be good real estate transactions that are reflective of the markets. And we take those sales in the prospective neighborhoods and we compare those to the assessed values. If the sales are showing that our values are too low, we raise the entire neighborhood because we are a mass appraisal system. But on the flip side, if our assessed values are higher, we bring the entire neighborhood down. And there's a lot of statistics that go into it, medians, means, coefficients. I'm not going to bore you with all that information, but what we do, we just look at the sales compared to the assessed values and adjust the properties accordingly. And because we are a mass appraisal system, it's never going to be a perfect system. We're always going to have high properties. We're going to have lows. We're obviously never going to hear from the lows. I think in the 8 years that I've been there, I've heard from 3 people who thought their values were too low. But it's those high properties that we always hear from, and that's why the appeal process is set.